3.2 External Projects, Project 9, Coming to Conclusions, Case Study number 2, Wendy Rudd, School Teacher. Wendy is a client of mine from the past 5 years, and through the duration of this time I just presume she was a primary school teacher. Now, she has been on board and knows that I study with the OCA, and she often asks questions, how are we getting on, and so forth, and how's it progressing. So Wendy took an instant interest once she knew that one of my themes was dyslexia. And then this opened up further conversation that this is what Wendy, her specialist area was, helping and supporting dyslexia children in the primary school environment. Straight away, I was able to ask questions and make comparisons with my research, because in 3.1 I'd researched the dyslexic online education store, so I became very familiar with the ideas of sensory, fidgets, acetate overlays, and it was a good way with Wendy to build up further knowledge and how she engaged within her teaching sessions this equipment, and she was also able to explain what dyslexia traits are. She did agree that dyslexia candidates do see things differently, and we are all different. This could be to do with language, reading and writing. So her knowledge and her experience is very broad, and she'd been doing it for a very long time. Now, as part of my case study, I wanted to ask questions that would set a foundation of basic knowledge, and then my second set of questions went into more in-depth questions, so that she could give me more in-depth feedback, so that I had more of an understanding of the education system with candidates that demonstrated traits of dyslexia. She said that which was an important key, because I could relate to that students underwent a diagnostic test, which I had carried out on myself personally approximately 2 years ago when studying 3.1. So it kind of fitted pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together, because I suppose one of the traits of dyslexia is worry about your achievements in education, more so on an academic level. Now, Wendy also explained that there was continuous assessments. Each child is taught differently, even though the groups, there could be 8 to 10 pupils in a group. So the training programs were quite in depth, but also it was important for me to find out, because I discovered through research that in the 70s and 80s dyslexia wasn't in the vocabulary. So one of my questions to Wendy was, how does the education system support you as a teacher teaching dyslexia? And she came back with relevant links and how the government support. Now, I have highlighted this in my case study, that one of the creative tasks that was set was to get the children to play with the ideas of shapes of letters and language. Now, this would be through paint, crayons, drawing, pencils and paper, in a creative way to try and teach the children new ways of understanding the academic side of the language that they were being taught in the classroom. Now, I think that this is a key moment, and I think also as well it demonstrated to me how far the education system has come, and the support mechanisms that staff have, and the teaching aids. Hence, the Dyslexic online store is a fantastic place. But the other area that I became particularly interested in was even in a classroom environment, how fidgets and sensory blankets are there to support children when they become overwhelmed with their learning. Now, all of this information from an academic perspective has really supported my theme with dyslexia, and it has also been a fantastic way to kind of see that somebody that is teaching and helping dyslexia as a subject matter, to ask them what their opinion is of, which I did do with a selection of photographs and so forth. I asked Wendy for a statement for her to feedback what she or how she viewed my work as an academic, and it was kind of quite an interesting task to set, because I could clearly see that Wendy was very academic in her responses to my questions, in any form of response to an email. But when I was asking her if she could write me a statement of some creative suggestions about my work, it kind of made her feel out of her depth. So we kind of mirror imaged one another. My out of depth feelings of an academic environment, and then Wendy's feelings of being placed into a creative environment or a creative activity, of giving some feedback of her thoughts, her ideas, and her emotions about my creative work. But one good thing that really came out of it was she was quite overwhelmed, and she could actually see my processes and my ideas, and she did inform me that she would consider, which is one of the areas that I'm trying to achieve, that she could see that the dyslexia visually is now becoming academic visual creativity.